I want to explain this question that it's talking about indices, and before we can even start, I hope you can see that the numerator, the whole of this numerator, when you divide by 20 squared is giving us 1. So by all means, the numerator has to be equals to this, such that when this one is divided by 20 squared, then it's going to give us 1. And it goes without saying that we can just rewrite that 10 raised to power 4n times 2, 3n squared minus 5n times 5 squared 1 minus 2n is equals to 20 squared. As much as there are ways that you can use to, complicated ways you can use to solve this question, I would just want to be simple. And well, it is very difficult to, first of all, for example, multiply 10 and 2, because of course you can see these are not the same bases, and the indices, they do not really match. You are not allowed to do that. And even if the bases were matching, you would just add the indices due to the presence of multiplication in between the two numbers. So at this particular point, what I'm observing here is that this is a 10. It can be written in terms of 2 times 5 and 5. This is a 2, this is a 5, this is a 20. And I believe we can also write it in terms of 2 and 5 as prime factors. So if I may want to use the fact that when x times y raised to power n, this is the same as x raised to power n times y raised to power n, that is true. So in other words, we are going to have 2 times 5 raised to power 4n in the case of 10 is times 2, 3n squared minus 5n times 5 to 1 minus 2n is equals to, we can also break this one in terms of the prime factors 5 and 2, is equals to 2 times 5, which is again raised to power 2. And it goes without saying, according to this rule, then we can separate this and have 2 raised to power 4n times 5 raised to power 4n times 2 raised to power 3n squared minus 5 times 5 squared raised to power 1 minus 2n is exactly equals to 2 squared, because this power affects each one of the terms in the bracket independently, times 2 squared times 5 squared. And now that we have common bases, it means we can separate the 2's from the 5's, and we're going to have, according to law 1 of indices, we are going to have 2 raised to power 4n plus, because it is times 3n squared minus 5, those are the powers, that plus that, times 5 raised to power 4n, this one, plus 2, 1 minus 2n, this and this, because again we are having the same basis, and according to law 1 we just talk about adding the indices, is equals to 2 plus 2 is 4 times 5 squared. It is now very clear that the whole of this term that is having base 2 is equals to this term that is having base 2 across. What does that really mean? It means the indices here must be equals to these indices, meaning that 4n plus 3n squared, this is 5n, plus 15n is equals to 4. And this one is basically a quadratic equation, and it's going to be 3n squared 3n squared. This is negative due to the presence of that negative, minus 11n minus 4 is equals to 0. We could also focus on the indices of 5 and say also 4n plus 2 minus 4n after opening this bracket is equals to 2. And as you can see, 4n minus 4n is 4n minus 4n is 0. So we are just be left with 2 is equals to 2, which is true, but it does not really give us the value of n. So that ends there, and let us now focus on these other ones. We can use the factorization BSc approach. We can use the factorization method, whereby our B and AC, our B is minus 11 and AC is minus 12. Two numbers we add, they give us a minus 11, and we multiply, they give us minus 12. Of course, this is minus 12 and 1. So we break the middle term. We have to we break the middle term and have something that looks like 3n squared minus 12n plus n minus 4 is equals to 0. If you continue further, you'll have 3n open bracket n minus 4 plus 1 open bracket n minus 4 is equals to 0. These brackets are similar. Then we have n minus 4, 3n plus 1 is equals to 0. And according to these two brackets being multiplied to give us a 0, of course it means that either one of them is 0 or both of them are 0. It could also be n minus 4 is 0, and if this is true, n is equals to 4, or 3n plus 1 is equals to 0, and if this is true, 3n is equals to minus 1, and still if this is true, then it's equals to negative a third. And those are the two possible values of n. Thank you. I hope you're helped.